Welcome, everybody, to the Unlikely Brothers podcast. I am Jake Johnson, also known as Big Jake, also known as State Farm.
And howdy, y'all. It's Addison Lee Thompson, the Honky Tonk Heathen. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Unlikely Brothers podcast.
And we're live. What's going on?
Not much. Literally just wheeled in from the cabin.
Nice.
Drove all 8 hours from the cabin and threw my suitcase, or really my duffel bag. I don't take a suitcase out there. Threw my duffel bag in the living room and poured myself a Pendleton and water on the rocks and logged in for us to record this episode. So
Very, very nice, sir. Very nice.
yeah.
So where at is the cabin? I mean, obviously not the specific address. But...
Yeah, no. So it's in Louisiana. Okay. I will say literally that much.
Oh no, I'm Hey, our bajillion fans, you don't want them ruining the...
I don't want anybody knowing where that thing is. There's like maybe 5 people that know where it's at.
All right.
Outside of obviously like family members, but
right.
Other than that, yeah, I don't divulge that information because I don't want people knowing where my spot is for hunting over there.
Yeah, no, for when you got to get away, you know. Once we go super big and famous, we got to have that. We got to have that spot.
It's funny. One of my buddies actually jokingly said that when we talked about that spot. He was like, "Oh, is that going to be your getaway if you ever get big and famous?" And I was like, "I mean, maybe. I don't know. You know, not a thought that's ever crossed my head." And he's like, "Well, like, you know, people can track down locations pretty easy." And I'm like, "If you can find that particular place, I will be thoroughly impressed.
Right?
Thoroughly.
I will sign whatever autographs you want."
It's kind of like my old elk hunting campsite in Montana. Yeah. Well, I guess not old. I'd still use it if I, was back in Montana, or when I go back. Good luck finding it. Right. I mean, I grew up in the woods. Our fans might know I'm an avid backcountry hunter and avid outdoorsman, and I don't subscribe to the notion of I want to be in this nice lodge with, all these, third world amenities. I'm like, I just need heat, way to cook, and I want to be near nobody because that's where the good game is, in my opinion.
Yep. No, I mean, I'm the same way. Like when I go hunting, I don't want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
When I go hunting, it defeats the whole purpose for me.
Exactly. I've spent my whole life outdoors. I mean, if I want to be somewhere where I can get on Netflix, then I'll stay here at the house. And even when I'm at the house, I don't stay on Netflix. But you get my point. I've stayed in one or two of those really nice lodges where like you're in BFE and getting high-speed satellite internet. And they're cool. I mean, it's a nice experience, but the whole time I'm sitting there like, this would be so much more fun if we were in a friggin' wall tent right now or something.
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely something to be said for hanging out and having to entertain yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And
it definitely is more relaxing, at least for me. And it gets me closer to the woods. It gets me closer to the outdoors.
That's why I fell in love with trapping and lion hunting as much as I did back in Montana and Utah and Wyoming and all that, was because you can't get any closer to wildlife.
Right.
It's originally why I got into it. You can't get any closer or more intimate with wildlife and the ecosystem that you're operating in than doing that. I mean, trapping is very specific. I think people are under the assumption that trappers just put down like a foothold and the animal just like walks through it, which if you want to dumb it down, yeah, to a degree, but you've got to know how that animal acts, where they're hanging out. I mean, you spend so much time looking for runs or a viable trail or a feeding spot, and then you have to set up a very discreet unsuspecting situation to capture that animal because animals are friggin' smart. I mean, they're playing the survival game every day. So to just take a metal, number 3 foothold and fan it out and just lay it in the middle of a trail, you're never going to catch shit.
No, not at all.
I mean,
You're definitely
there's a lot of planning and prep that goes into setting up a good, just single trap set. I'm not even going to say a whole trap line.
right. No, you got to do your research. You have
Yeah.
to, like you said, you have to know.
What did you do on this podcast? We were having a meaningful conversation.
And then the riffraff showed up.
Oh, God
Hey,
dang it.
turn your phone. Turn your phone. There you go.
Okay. It's my first time.
No, it's not.
We were talking about hunting. We can keep talking about hunting. This guy already took a bear this year.
Yeah, I did on my birthday.
Yeah, congratulations. That was a good looking bear too.
Yeah, not the biggest, but Butcher said it's one of the cleanest he's ever seen, so I'm okay with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
When you sent me the Snapchat, I was like, oh, I was like, God, why do I live down south now? I miss bear hunting.
Well, because you think you're a recording artist. So
I know, right? Slowly turning podcaster. I don't even know what I am anymore.
All right, you're a jack of all trades.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a jack of something.
So he's a jack of something. So for those of you that don't know, our buddy Jake just decided to pop in.
Yeah.
Jake is without a doubt one of my best friends on the face of the earth. He easily is as close, if not closer to me than most of my family. He has been, someone that I can talk to and hang out with and go to concerts with and get all sorts of drunk and fucked up with and watching.
Make fun of Addison together. And
we do, so. No, so Jake, welcome to the Unlikely Brothers.
Thanks for having me.
Podcast.
I just literally got back into town for my anniversary trip, so this worked out pretty well.
Mm-hmm. It did. So where'd you go?
Orcas Island, Washington, San Juan's. Nice. Spent 2 nights up there with the wife, celebrating 16 years. So we had our honeymoon up there. What was that, 13 years ago? We had to wait for a couple children to be born. But yeah, went back up, just spent a couple days, got out of town, and had a good time.
Nice.
Hell yeah, dude.
Speaking of children, how many do you have? I know there's some
a million. That's how many he has.
Iffiness there. There's some iffiness there.
It was iffy one time because somebody gave me a candy. Okay, it wasn't my fault. I may have forgotten about a child one time, and you don't ever let me live it down.
Hey,
but I have 4 children total.
Things happen once, and I'll remember them forever. Like losing a
4 kids, 15 twin 14-year-olds and a 10-year-old.
Nice, very nice.
So for those of y'all that didn't do the math there, Summit, as we affectionately refer to Jake, barely has any time to breathe, much less join in on this podcast.
Yep.
But I'm pleasantly surprised. I didn't know y'all planned this. This is going to be fun.
He literally just texted me 10 minutes ago. He's like, "Hey, if you're home, jump on." I was like, "Okay."
Well, because I knew you were going to be
elaborate plan.
No, it wasn't. Well, I knew he was going to be off today, so
yeah.
I just didn't know if he had any plans after he was off. And
nope.
On my way back from the store, I shot him a text. So
hell yeah,
yeah. So thought I'd give you a little surprise.
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Little welcome back to Texas gift. You get to share the show with 2 Washington boys.
Dude, I got some buddies right now that are doing their thing elk hunting in Montana, and the snow is starting to fall, and it's getting colder, and I'm just like, damn it.
I got 1 day to elk hunt. I'm going tomorrow, so hopefully I got some insider information from a old timer local guy out Lake Wenatchee area, and said he's been seeing them in a certain area for the last couple of weeks. So I got 1 day to try and go get it done tomorrow.
I was a little interested. I don't know. Well, Washington kind of fell in the same group as the rest of the Northwest. as warm and dry of a summer as it had been, I was curious to know how they were going to be moving come season. But I don't know about y'all, but as far as all the intel I'm getting out of Montana, they're pretty much just doing the same damn thing like they do every year.
Yeah, so we had a really late cold push. I went 5 days for mule deer, never saw a single shooter, and then the last day it dropped to 32, 34. So if we would have had that cold snap, it definitely would have been better. But we got snow in the mountains now. Just drove over the pass, and so hopefully they'll be coming down a little bit lower because I got 1 day.
Yeah, no kidding. You ain't got time to hoof it that far up.
But
No.
the unit I'm hunting, luckily, is any elk.
Okay.
So
Any
I can hunt any elk tomorrow.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh hell yeah, dude.
That drastically increases your chances of being able to find a
Yeah,
shooter.
there's not a lot of them where I'm hunting, but I mean, I'm not going to shoot a calf, but I definitely can if I want to.
Hey, elk meat is elk meat.
Yeah, it's about the size of a big deer, so but
Exactly.
if it was a bigger unit with a lot more elk, probably still wouldn't, but who knows? I got 1 day to do it. We'll see how far my morals drop tomorrow afternoon.
Hey, gnarliest bull I ever took was when I had 1 day to hunt, so you never know.
Yep.
And I went in convinced, going like, at most I'm gonna get a cow. Like,
yeah,
at most I'm gonna get a decent cow, get her taken care of, and I got to go back to work. I mean, as luck had it.
yeah. I got
in my kitchen right now.
Got a meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. that I may or may not make. So,
well, I mean, if you got one on the ground and you're trying to drag it out, you're not going to make that meeting.
No.
Who's the meeting with?
It's for new school. It's me and Kristen are going through through some stuff.
Got it. Oh.
But it's like the final meeting of like all the information and everything kind of coming full circle. So I want to try and make it, but if I don't, it won't be the end of the world because I didn't go to the first 3 of them. So
I feel like where you live in Washington, if your wife walked in by herself and went, well, my husband's got an elk down, I feel like where you live, they're going to be like, oh, totally get it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
But if I get an elk down tomorrow, I got to go to Wenatchee and buy a freezer. So
I
don't have a
I didn't think about that.
There's that.
Yeah, mine's not big enough.
No, it's not. Not for elk.
No.
That's if all goes according to plan after surveying the wildlife this weekend, because I really went this weekend to just kind of like prep for the season.
Yeah.
I got a feeling I'm going to have a lot more hog meat in my freezer than I am going to have deer meat, just because the hogs were hellacious this trip.
Yeah.
Where are you hunting at?
What's that?
Where are you hunting?
The cabin over in Louisiana.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So went and got it ready to rock and roll. Got some provisions stocked and made sure that the old 270 was still sighted in, which thank God, they're expensive as hell, but thank God for Swarovski scopes. I hadn't touched that particular rifle. I've got a couple of them. I haven't touched that particular rifle in 2-3 years. Went to go sight it in. I mean, just still right on.
Nice.
Yeah, I took mine fresh out of the box. It was just a little Mossberg 30-06. That's when I realized Mossberg's made rifles. Didn't know that. went to Weimar. Spent $434 out the door. Has a Vortex on it and shot true right out of the box and never shot it again until I shot the bear at 40 yards. So worked for me.
I've got a love-hate relationship with Vortex optics. Because when I first started working for Rocky Mountain Supply in Dillon, I ended up working at the gun counter, right?
Okay.
Their primary vendor, we had other things. We had Leupold and stuff like that, but their primary vendor was Vortex. That was the stuff we were really supposed to push. I did more warranty work on Vortex than any other optic that we sold.
Just because they failed, or?
Yeah, they were. So I will say this: it was a lot of their more affordable stuff.
Gotcha.
I mean, the cheapo stuff just failed, and there was no fixing it. But it was a lot of their like mid-range, price range stuff. If you got the really expensive crap, obviously it held up. But it'd be some guy like, "Hey, we were walking up a rock pile. I slipped, the gun fell, and all of a sudden my scope exploded."
Well, that'll happen to any scope.
Yeah, exactly. But
I mean,
it
you
also
can't
be like
blame
weird.
that on Vortex.
Yeah, you can't blame that on
It's not their
Vortex.
fault.
But then it was like weird shit. Like we were given the torque specifications on the rings for the bore sight.
Right.
I called the rep. I'm like, "Can we tighten it any more?" And he's like, "If you go any more, you're going to crush the scope." But then we'd have a ton of people come in and go, "Hey, my kid got scoped, not because they were too close, but because the scope flew back in the rings and you could slide it back and forth." And like I said, it was. I will say this about Vortex: it was never their really high-end, expensive-ass shit.
Right.
But it was what any common guy like the three of us would buy, where it's like, "Oh, it's a little pricey, but I'll take this because it's a little bit better."
Right. Yeah. Well, you get what you pay for.
You do, and especially with firearms and optics.
Yeah.
That's why nobody needs to own a high point. You should not be buying a handgun for $100.
Dude, did you see that Demo Ranch video he came out with probably 4 or 5 years ago, putting high points through the ringer?
Yep.
No, I did not.
He filled the barrel of a 9mm with concrete, shot it once, blew the concrete out, and it ran flawlessly.
No kidding.
Ran it, dude. Go look it up.
It was impressive.
It was like, okay, high points. I'm still not going to own one just because I have better values than that. But dude, he ran it through the mud, and I think he dropped it from like 40 feet or something, and it finally broke. But he put it through the ringer, and
I foolishly bought one like as my first handgun when I was like, as soon as I turned 21. You know how it goes. It's like, I want to drink beer and buy a pistol. You know,
in that order.
In that order, yeah. Don't do that if you're listening to this. Don't do that. But I bought one, and I'm telling you, man, like clockwork. Third round out of that magazine, it'll jam every single time. And I can't. If I tried to give that gun away, I couldn't get rid of it.
No.
Maybe if I got an extra $120 in my pocket one day, I'll go pick one up. No, I won't. But no, I'm just lying. I'm just lying to the people. I'll never buy a high point.
I had a buddy that had one.
Don't do that.
I had a buddy that had one with one in the chamber. He's like every day carrying it, and it was on.
See, that scares me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't do that. But he had it on like one of the clip mounts under his steering wheel column. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he was sitting in the parking lot, and he kind of like pulled it out to look at it, put it back in, and he swears, and I believe him because he's really not a guy that bullshits you. He swears as he put it back in, it just went off into his floorboard.
I believe it. I've heard some scary stories about just random. Well, that was that. There was a police officer, I don't know, 8-10 years ago or something, and she had it in her purse. It was like her everyday carry. It wasn't her department issue. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a SIG. And it just randomly went off in her purse as she was walking down the street. God. So again, you can't blame High Point for that. Shit happens.
No, it happens. My brother had it happen with a Kimber, I think. My brother had that happen to him. That's why, granted, it's not really a debate. You talk to anyone in the tactical community and they're like, not having one in the chamber is just, a mistake.
Right.
But I also know so many people that have had one in the chamber and it just went off. And I'm like, I'd rather risk the 2 seconds it's going to take me to rack around than.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Have it blow a hole in my foot driving down the interstate.
Right. Me and one of my high school buddies, we were about 16, and we had just got done walking this canyon to do some pheasant hunting, and he's walking back and he's carrying his shotgun, kind of across his waist, in the crook of his arm, and not thinking anything of it. And I know his finger wasn't on the trigger. Because I was looking at him, because the way he was carrying it, the muzzle was facing me at one point.
Ooh.
And I was like, no, we're no, not
We're
at
not
all.
doing that.
Yeah, no.
So he goes to move it, and when he lays it down in his other arm, it just goes off. And it
Oh.
blew a hole 2.5 inches in front of his foot, the size of a football. I mean, it was that far from his foot. And all he did was he just set it down. Like it was, yeah, it
You
was
just,
nuts.
and that's why, if you're raised properly and taught properly about firearms, you don't point that barrel at anything that you are
Mm-hmm.
not willing to shoot.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is
Exactly.
my biggest pet peeve when I'm out hunting with somebody I don't know or out at the range with people I don't know is someone that's just willy-nilly. I don't care if you don't have a magazine in it and the bolts out of the entire gun. You don't point that muzzle at anything that you're not willing to shoot.
No,
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
I
So
watched.
Jake. Oh, sorry, Addison. Go
Or go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. No, it's a
No,
mute
no, no.
point.
You
Go ahead.
okay? So I'm gonna see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and Addison's not because he got a book a show in Indiana. Gotta go make money.
I
Yeah,
mean, that sounds stupid.
I know. Why would I
So
want to go do
what do
that?
we got going on in a couple of weeks, Jake?
We have the second almost annual Apple Valley Battle of the Beards in Leavenworth, Washington.
Hell
That's
yeah!
how I first met Addison. It was at the same comp that you first met him, right? Beard on the Rocks
Beards on the Rocks, yeah.
3. Uh,
4.
and then got into the bearding community that way. Hosted one. It was that same year.
Yep, it was 2 years ago.
And then I found out Addison was coming, so then I very graciously competed in the chops category and whooped his ass.
I'm still furious about that because I had 2 losses in Washington that year. The first one was to Harry, Harry,
That's a given.
I love you to death, brother. You're one of my favorite people on the planet, but you didn't have to talk shit the way you did. Love Harry. And then
Hey,
I'm like, all right,
yeah.
I'm going to Apple Valley. I got this locked up like nobody else is going to rock chops. You had the beard you're rocking right now the night before at the meet and greet.
Even the morning of during
setup. And
Yep.
then I turn around, I think like right before I hadn't even seen you yet. I think right before we're lining up to go out, and I turn and I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? Because it's just ginger chops.
Yep, showed up at like 11:30, 12 o'clock, did the initial setup, and then went and got ready.
Yep. Sure
But
did.
yeah, so Apple Valley Battle of the Beards, Leavenworth, Washington, November 11th. Registration starts at 3 o'clock. It's at Ducks and Drakes. Google it. It's a super cool little bar in town. Charity is a veterans nonprofit called Tour of Duty. They assist mainly in making sure that no active duty and or veteran that is laid to rest is unaccompanied, because that's completely unacceptable. But they also do a lot of outdoors hunting, fishing, campouts, stuff like that for vets and active duty. So the founder and president's been a good buddy of mine since high school, and he kind of spearheaded this whole thing. I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago. We had a local Vietnam vet that had passed away in a retirement home. No family, no friends, no nothing. And that didn't set well with Cortland. So he did what he did, and shit, I think there was 1,200 people there. A bunch of motorcycle clubs from across Washington, Oregon, Idaho showed up for it. It was a really cool thing. So the second I figured out what bearding was all about, I hit Cortland up, and so this will be the second one. Got Wenatchee Valley Brewery on board, donated a keg of some very delicious beer. So if you guys are beer drinkers, every single pint goes to the charity. Got a bunch of raffles set up right now. Come hang out. It's a good time.
And by the way, if you are into bearding, 2-pronged plug for this here. If you are part of the bearding community, you need to go to this comp because it's an awesome, intimate, small comp. If you are not in the bearding community and you're interested, or you're kind of wondering what the hell are these guys talking about on this podcast and the other bearding podcast, that's a great one to go to because it's not. Some of these big comps can be really intimidating if you're not part of the community.
For sure.
Yeah.
Apple Valley is the perfect one to go to because it's very intimate. Everyone that goes, not that there's anyone that really sucks in the bearding community, but everyone that goes is super duper awesome.
Well,
I'm so glad you said that, not me.
Yeah. But Apple Valley is a great one to go to because it's so small,
Yep.
it's so intimate, and just it's for a great cause, and it's a great time.
Yeah, we're just running the 10 basic categories. Kind of I like running the smaller category, the smaller basic categories. I've been to a few comps where you're running 18 categories, and it's fun because you get to see a different aspect of bearding and get to meet people that you may not would have met because you don't have their category. So
yeah,
I'm running just generalized categories that will fit 99.9% of the community. I have some fantastic judges. I think we got the cream of the crop on some judges this year, so I'm really stoked on that.
We definitely do.
Have you announced them?
I did, yeah. So I got Lisa Fosnot, who is the current realistic Whiskerina world champion. And then I got John Abraham, who is a previous world champion, I believe. Second place for sure. Amazing goatee, an amazing human being. So Lisa's from the western side of Seattle area in Washington. And John Abraham's coming up all the way from the Sacramento area. So
holy shit.
Yep. And then Cortland Martin, the founder, president, he also has a beard. And he will be my third judge. So we're running 3 judges this year.
Yep.
Very nice.
So yeah, it'll be a really, really good time. We had a lot of fun the first year we did it. And unfortunately last year there was a scheduling conflict with nationals. So I wasn't going to try and compete with that. But this year I said, you know what? I don't really care. I'm going to do it anyway. Try and get those local Pacific Northwest guys that just don't want to travel or can't travel for whatever reason. So
yeah.
Good time.
God dang. Don't get me wrong. Duke's Indy, I'm coming for you. I love you guys. Shit, I wish I could do both.
I mean, if you would have talked to your promoter scheduler over there, he probably could have got something worked out for you.
I don't touch Dukes. Dukes is not.
No, you had to cancel Dukes last time, right?
My baby.
Duke. Well, yeah. There's
the Dukes. I remember the last one got canceled for something.
Something happened with Dukes
last year, maybe.
So, yeah, there was a conflict going on, but they reached back out, and I'm trying not to knock them.
No.
They had someone in a position in the booking position that really didn't know what they were doing, is how I'll put it.
Gotcha.
And we reached back out on a whim, like, hey, we want to come back, we want to play. Like, this is a venue that me and the founder, who has since passed, R.I.P. Dustin, still love you, dude. He kind of brought me in at a time that I had no business playing that venue, and brought me in as an opener. We had a great set, started bringing me back as a headliner. I believe our very first sellout ever as a band was at Duke's Indy. That's where I met my wife. We did the Western Sky album release party there. A lot of history in that venue. So when we reached back out on a whim, we really didn't know what the situation was over there. And the current gal that's running it, who we just absolutely love, just basically was like, yes, we need to bring you back in. We feel like the bridge was burned. We want to mend it. We were like, yes, we want to mend it as well. And so we're coming back in with a vengeance, ladies and gentlemen. Duke's Indy. We'll be there November 11th, and this will probably air after that. So I'll just have to give updates.
I mean, maybe we'll see. I mean, it depends on how the next few weeks go. But yeah, probably we got a few in the bank. Also, guess which one's loading or dropping tomorrow?
Is it Hollywood?
It's Hollywood. So by the time anyone hears this, Hollywood will already be out.
Will have already been out. Yeah, I got the clip today in our little text thread there.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna work on a couple more clips for it, but it's a good one. It's a good one. I
Ripping
forgot
people
how
limb
good
from
it was.
limb.
Yes.
Right on. All right, boys. I gotta go. I gotta go pick up my car.
All right, dude. It was good to have you on here.
Thanks for stopping
I'll
by.
be back in an hour. If you guys are still on, I'll jump back in. But
all right.
Love you guys.
Later, bro.
Later, Summit. Okay, so we were talking, and then all of a sudden I see his ginger bearded ass down here. You can't see it, but the platform we record on, we can see who all's like in the background.
Backstage.
Backstage. I was like, what in the hell is Craig Lowe's ass doing here?
Yeah. No, I knew he was gonna be off work today. Normally he works on Tuesday nights when we generally record, so he's not able to stop in. But I wanted to stop by and give him a plug. We may release this one next week, just because of the plug for the comp.
Yeah.
So, or we could do a bonus episode. You never know.
Yeah, a little bonus episode. I think our faithful listeners / viewers have earned it.
They have. They absolutely
with all the bullshit that we put them through.
Hey, if they're still here after we got 5 shows out now, and we got 6 coming tomorrow, and we got 3 in the bank, and we're gonna have this one, so 4 in the bank. So yeah, they'll be.
And we got some cool other guests coming up. We just had to reschedule some guys because life happens.
Life happens, and we're working on other guests as well.
Yep.
So I have some interesting guests that are willing to come on and talk to us, and fill our ears with all sorts of mumbo jumbo and fun stuff and hard facts and hard truths, and
indeed,
it'll be super fun.
And speaking of this podcast, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, I got a bone to pick with y'all.
Yeah,
I think Jake does too. What happened to the Facebook group?
I don't know.
Notification.
No, there was no notification. I checked my email. I checked all my notifications on my Facebook. There was nothing. So anybody that was in the group, that liked any of our stuff, sorry, we didn't
don't know
delete
what happened.
It. No idea what happened. I don't know why. Because we've put the same clips out on Instagram.
Yeah, and because Instagram, Facebook, it's still Meta.
Facebook Meta owns both.
I don't know what, because here's the thing is, I used to be the member of a group called Drinking Bros, and they had a really they still do a really massive podcast. I don't know if you know who they are. When the original Drinking Bros got nuked by Facebook, from my understanding, talking to people I knew in that community, all the admins got notifications.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Yeah,
I've had a couple groups that got, hey, this is strike one. We're gonna shut you down. I got nothing.
So for those of y'all that don't know, that weren't in the group, we set up a Unlikely Brothers Facebook group. We invited all of our friends and on Facebook and all that we thought would be interested in it. We put up the same clips we have on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of our social media platforms. Hadn't even posted a full episode in there. We had a live episode planned in there. And then that was on a Tuesday night because we recorded. Wednesday morning, we get up. I'm scrolling through Facebook because we were going to do it on Wednesday. Going to post some clips in the group, and all of a sudden, no group. It doesn't exist. It's gone. It's in the ether.
Yeah, it's just it's bye-bye.
So Facebook, we want answers. Our small, humble podcast wants answers.
Yeah, I mean, we only had like 120 people in there.
Yeah, and we knew all of them. I think you and I knew all of them.
Without a doubt. I probably knew all of them in person.
At least same here. We didn't. It wasn't like there were some people in there that you didn't know and that I didn't. Like it was all people that you and I both know in person.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were at the very beginning stages of the group. That's how you build the group.
There wasn't any traffic in it other than crap we had put in there.
None.
I've never seen anything like that happen on social media.
Either. Yeah, it's insane. Absolutely
Thanks,
insane.
Facebook. We're not even going to start from scratch at this point.
Nope, not doing it again.
Nope.
Not at all.
Nope. The definition of insanity is repeating the same act, expecting a different outcome. The definition of insanity is repeating the same act, expecting a different outcome. The definition of insanity is repeating the same act, expecting a different outcome.
Of all times that I wish your laptop would have froze. It was right there.
No, that was weird, dude.
It was very, very weird. So you had a long trip back from Louisiana.
Yes, very long. But you know what got me through it is a podcast that I really love called the Sean Ryan Show.
Never heard of it.
He's a former Navy SEAL and CIA contractor. Has some very interesting people. It started out as a lot of vets on his podcast, and then he started incorporating other people. It's still very military heavy.
Right.
So I went through some episodes. I'd been meaning to catch up on some guests, and then I'm halfway through right now. What is his name? It's Sam Childers, I believe. The Machine Gun Preacher. I don't know if you know who that is.
Nope.
Very interesting guy. Very interesting guy. 1%er biker or former 1%er biker. I'm not far enough in to figure out where it is. They did a movie about him, but started doing orphanages in Africa, specifically South Sudan, during that Joseph Kony child soldier shit. And I guess like there was a bounty on his head. He was a born again or is, but at the time was still a born again Christian and having to deal with these crazy ass warlords while saving kids. It is a mind. Pardon my French. It is a mind fuck of an episode to listen to.
Wow. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I like to listen to podcasts when I drive.
When I drive is my big thing.
Yeah, because I found that on longer road trips, if I'm listening to music, like I'm each song roughly about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I knocked that down to 3 minutes. Okay, 7 songs are played. I've driven for 21 minutes.
Yeah.
At this rate, I got 9 songs until my exit. And my brain it sits there and just computes the time the whole time I'm driving. But if I'm listening to a podcast, like Joe Rogan or Dad Bods and Beards, my buddy Tyson, with Copper John's Beard Company, he and his buddy Logan have a podcast. It's fantastic. They just a couple of regular guys, a lot like us, and they sit there and they get into some pretty heavy conversations sometimes, and they're very, very open about their mental health struggles and all sorts of other struggles and the success of Copper Johns. And Logan is huge on TikTok. They have a very good podcast. And then my other one is Two Bears, One Cave. Tom Segura,
God, you gotta love Two Bears,
and Bert
One Cave.
Kreischer. Yeah. So,
but
those are my go-tos when I'm not listening to podcasts about.
But every episode, well, not every episode, but have you seen that deal that guy made on TikTok where he's like, basically every episode of Two Bears, One Cave, and he pretends to be Tom, and he's like, oh yeah, my kid peed his pants going to school the other day, and then Bert's like, you can't pee.
I mean, when Bert gets worked up, I don't know that there's a funnier laugh,
high pitched.
It's
the euphoric laugh,
and it's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, no, I love listening to them, and some of my favorite ones are when Bert isn't there, because Tom will make something up about Bert, like, hey, Bert can't be here because he's getting his heart replaced. Bert can't be here because he's in Belgium getting his liver drained in some experimental surgery. Prayers to Bert. Apparently that started trending on Google.
No kidding.
People Googled it so much that it was trending on Google, like Bert Kreischer liver transplant or something. I can't remember exactly what the liver one was, but that one, and the way he said it, he was so deadpan. He was so like just he sold it. I almost
Well, it's
Googled it.
Tom. I mean, Tom Segura is
Yeah,
the king of that.
yeah. Oh, his comedy style is fantastic.
Oh, dude. What was
His
it?
delivery is amazing.
I don't know what tour it was. It was one of our recent ones, but we're here at the house doing prep, like, the 2-day lead up prep.
Yeah.
And we put on his new special, that Sledgehammer one.
Oh, yes.
I'm saying it's everyone. The whole band's here. Natalie's here. I think you were
Mhm,
realistically. I think you were the only one that wasn't here. And I mean,
mhm.
everyone was on the floor, just holding their gut. They're laughing so hard.
Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Where
He's
he's talking about his mom taking too many edibles, and she's begging for her life, going, "Tommy, please, Tommy, no,
mhm.
I'm your mother."
Oh, yeah, no, he's a super, super funny guy.
He
Like,
is. But on the adverse of that, that's why I don't listen to a lot of comedic podcasts. Like anything Rogan has, it's very serious, topical stuff.
most
And
of
that's
the
why
time, yeah.
yeah, anything Rogan has that's like that, I'll listen to. And I've listened to some of Rogan's more comedic episodes. And then obviously Sean Ryan show, I'm so big into that one because I'm a big stand-up comedy junkie to begin with. So I'll just listen to the special driving. So if it's a podcast, I'm
Yeah,
usually looking for stuff that's like what I was listening to today coming home, like the
right.
very last testimony this guy's ever going to give on the Battle of Mogadishu, Black Hawk Down. Like that's the kind of stuff I look into when I'm listening to a podcast.
Well, I mean, we all have our own tastes as far as podcasts, and
Yeah.
you
And
know,
if you
it's
enjoy ours, good on you.
let us know.
Let
Let
us
us
know.
know. Comment, leave a comment, send us a message, give us 5 stars.
Please do. And if you don't like us,
It helps the
keep
algorithm.
scrolling.
I mean, if you don't like us, still leave us 5 stars. Like,
Yeah, still leave us 5 stars.
what's it hurt you to click? You're just pressing a button. You're just pressing a star. Like, leave us 5 stars.
That's the worst
Oh,
plug
I'm
ever.
hilarious.
You are.
It
You
it
are.
was.
Oh, hell. Well, we got a big week coming up over here in the ALT music camp.
Yeah. What do you got? Oh, you're going in studio.
We're going back in the studio for a week.
Oh, fun. When do you do that?
We go in Wednesday. We'll be there 7 days straight
Nice,
to our
nice.
home away from home on the Blanco. Old Yellow Dog
Nice.
Studios. Love those guys. Great team over there and got a great producer behind us. So we're excited about it.
Yeah.
So
Yep. This record will be an interesting one to hear.
yeah, I'm not going to say too much before it's
Yeah,
done, but the concept behind I really shouldn't even tread that far into it.
I
The
wouldn't.
concept behind the album is going to be I know I say this every record where I'm like, we're doing something totally different than what we've ever done. This really will be.
Yeah, this is so far out in left field. When you and I talked about it, I initially kind of was like, I don't know, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, let's go.
Well, here's how I look at it. We don't get me wrong, we do tend to shake things up every single album. But
For sure.
right now, in my personal humble opinion, and I'm not knocking anybody, if you're doing great in the music business, you're doing great in the music business, and I am shouting your name from the rooftops because good on you. But there's a lot of people trying to copy other people's stuff that are very successful and a lot of similarities going out, which if that's what you like listening to, I'm not knocking you. I want to do something really off the wall. I want to do something that isn't trying to copy anybody or sound
Right.
like anybody. Which you should totally pay homage to your influences and your heroes. And I feel like I've done that consistently on the last 4 or 5 records, whatever we're up to now. But I want to do something, and I think our producer was kind of on board with this. That's so far out in left field that we're not even in the same ballpark. But it'll still be it'll still be a country record. Don't panic. It'll still be a country record. I'm not getting ready to put out a EDM album, but
Addison goes pop.
Yes. Nah, but there's just a lot of that going on right now, and if you like it, awesome. If you're doing it and it's working, hell yeah, keep doing it. I'm just gonna go.
For sure.
I'm gonna do what I've always done. Do me. I'm gonna do Addison.
There you go. No, it's gonna be a busy few weeks. I got that comp that I helped Jake with. And then a couple weeks after that, the girlfriend and I are going down to St. Thomas for a week. So it'll be my first real live vacation in like 3 years.
Hell yeah, dude.
So, every time I've taken time off of work, like it's to go help run a comp or go on a, tour run with you. Like, so this will be, I'm still going to take a mic. I'm still going to take, I might take my little soundboard so we can record while we're down there if we get time. But I think it'd be pretty cool to do an episode where I'm sitting on the beach, or sitting by the pool. So.
Oh hell yeah, for sure.
I think we'll have to do that. If not a full episode, at least, do some vacation stuff, some vacation shoots, or some vacation footage that we can throw up on YouTube. So, but yeah, so that's we leave the day after Thanksgiving. So
oh hell yeah, we'll be in Arizona.
Fly out on a jet plane. You will, and my parents will be there.
Hell yeah, we'll be at Sierra Vista November 24th. Roadrunner November 25th. We got to bomb it back to Texas on the 26th because we got some stuff in the chamber here that'll get released sometime next year. And then we turn around and wrap up the year December 9th at the Screaming Goat Yard and Tap for Honky Tonk Christmas 2023.
That'd be a good night.
It will be.
Very good night.
It will be.
Yeah. No, my mom and stepdad have turned into snowbirds the last couple of years, so they'll be down in the Phoenix area for Thanksgiving. So I told them to stop by the Roadrunner, and they'll be out there.
Oh hell yeah! Do you also know who is also coming to the Roadrunner now?
Yeah, I saw your post, and then his mom shared your post, and I commented on it, and she's like, "You're not going to be there?" And I said, "No, I'm going to be in St. Thomas." And she's like, "Well, I guess that's okay then," or something like that. So yeah, no, that's going to be an awesome show, especially with Ryan being there.
I know. I just texted him on a whim. I was going through some old clips and stuff for some PR stuff, and was like, "Hey," texted him. I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing the 25th of November?" And he's like, "I don't know." I was like, "You want to come play a show?" And he was like, "Where?" I was like, "Right up the road from your house in New River." He's like, "Roadrunner?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh hell yeah!" And I was like, it's going to be a stacked stage because we already got country on lead guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously Johnny Boy will be there on steel. But I was like, why not, man? Bring Ryan back for one night only. Well, not one night only. We'll bring him back any chance we get, but let's bring him back.
Oh, Big Country and Ryan on guitars on the stage at the same time.
With Johnny as well.
I mean, it doesn't trump going to the Virgin Islands with my girlfriend, but in any way, shape, or form. But if I could be anywhere else, that is a very close number two. Very close.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show.
So, yeah, it's going to be a great show. Speaking of great shows, we had a great show today.
We did. We had a surprise guest.
We did.
We talked about hunting. I was actually a little worried logging in to do this one because I was like, oh, it's been a long weekend and
right?
long drive. And I was like, oh,
don't know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, we actually pulled this one off.
We did.
Yeah.
So, hey, it was good talking to you. We'll talk again soon.
Yes, indeed. If all goes according to plan, we'll be recording the next episode after I get out of the studio. So maybe I'll have some little teasers for everybody.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
See, if I was down there, we could get some behind the scenes stuff.
Oh yeah. We'll still get that.
So,
We got
mhm.
people on site that'll still get that.
All right.
And by people, I mean my wife.
Right. Just have her send me the videos, and
Yes, indeed.
I'll play with them and do what I do.
Yes.
So
So thank y'all so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. This has been another episode of the Unlikely Brothers podcast.
thank you. Later.